All right, so same exact coaching staff, right, Prop Beaver?
Yes, same exact coaching staff here. No big changes there, pretty much. So I guess that's good. The only thing that I wish kind of would change is Nathaniel Hackett. Jesus Christ, wish he wasn't back, but hey, we'll deal with it. Pretty much, Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, will be the offensive play caller, but
Steve,
we'll
are you
see there.
Steve? Do you have any thoughts? Are you cool with the coaching staff? What are your overall thoughts on the Jets? So, overall thoughts.
I mean, to be honest, I think the coaching staff is actually one of the weaknesses of this team. But other than that, I am high on this team. Poor Hackett had a terrible go in Denver, and then all of a sudden gets Zach Wilson and crappy quarterbacks the next year. He's worked with Rodgers before, so I think they have a good rapport. But I'm high on this Jets team right now.
I think. Go ahead.
A big reason why is this offensive line. Nobody's really talking about it. I mean, they picked up Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. They were both in the top 10 rated tackles. I mean, they maybe have the best tackle duo in the NFL.
And
so, I mean, it's huge.
And my bad. And they drafted Fashanu behind them, which is huge because this has been a major issue for this Jets offensive line the past 2 seasons, just running into so many injury issues. We're also getting Elijah Vera Tucker back. He only played 5 games last season, 7 games the season before, only 12 games combined last 2 seasons. I'd consider AVT our best offensive lineman. So now you're going to get him back. He's a utility guy. He could play almost any position on the line. He's going to be our right guard. And now you got Fashanu, who could play the tackle position. There's a lot of depth, a lot of health on this line, and we also added John Simpson at the left guard. So I really like what Jabo just said. The line is really strong this year. We went from having the worst, probably the worst line in football to now arguably the best line in the division.
And so just to go off that, they ended last year, if you guys like Pro Football Focus, they ended last year as the 31st ranked O-line. They're starting the preseason as the 5th ranked. I mean, and that's no joke. I'm not saying that's, the Bible and we go by that for offensive line, but I mean, I just like it a lot. And obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to change everything. I mean, you're not going to have all 11 guys in the box anymore. So
precisely.
And then of course that changes defense as well, because the defense is not on the field every freaking second of the day. So
yeah, and then they mentioned that I have the graphics on the screen that they're referring to. Jets run blocking last year, 28th in run blocking grade, 30th in adjusted line yards. Pass blocking, 31st in pass block grade, 28th in adjusted sack rate. So yeah, addressing the offensive line had to be number one on the priority list for the Jets, especially with an aging Aaron Rodgers. I question. And another thing that they mentioned, that they made some additions to the offensive line. But the other thing is, these numbers aren't really a reflection of the offensive line they had in place last year, because it was so hurt that you couldn't even. I remember one week when me and Prop Beaver were doing the graphics for a Jets video, they had 6 offensive linemen. Literally, the offensive linemen that were playing in the game, starting in the game, were 7 through 11 on the depth chart.
It was ridiculous.
I've never seen anything like it. So not only did they add a couple pieces, but I mean, the offensive line was probably a little undervalued based on the injuries alone. So let's go ahead and pull up real quick. I want to pull up addition subtraction for the Jets. Now they mentioned, here we go. Let's make it bigger. We mentioned Tyron Smith already. Morgan Moses. Anywhere else you guys want to address subtractions? I know they added Hassan Reddick.
I think we should just keep it on the offensive side. I want to mention Mike Williams, because I feel like that is a nice addition. Not in the fact that I think Mike Williams is going to put up any gaudy numbers this season. He is coming off of an ACL tear. This is a guy who, I love Mike Williams. I've always thought that Mike Williams is a supreme talent on the outside. The dude could just go up and get any ball you want. We've seen it. He's a fantastic talent, but the injuries are going to catch up to him. I just think that what he could do and the attention that he could take away from Garrett Wilson is going to be so big for him. We all know that Garrett Wilson is an excellent talent in the NFL, but we've really not gotten to see what his true potential could be due to horrible QB play and the amount of focus that defenses are putting on him Well, now he has a true legitimate wide receiver opposite from him. You could put like a Corley in the slot. And on top of that, now, as Jabba was alluding to earlier, you can't really stack the box for Breece Hall. I mean, Breece Hall, despite his talent, despite being such an efficient running back his rookie season before the injury, he had one of the lowest success rates in all of football last season. If that 30th ranked run block win rate improved to league average, we could be looking at a top 10 back in terms of DVOA. So I just really see Mike Williams not only improving Garrett Wilson, but the run game as well, and really improving the red zone. The red zone has been a massive issue for the Jets, not only under LaFleur, but Hackett as well. I mean, this has been a bottom 3 red zone attack the last 2 seasons. I think that with Rodgers, this could be a top 10 red zone attack. So I just think that this is going to be a dramatically better attack across the board, obviously, with Rodgers. And I know there are concerns with the health. I don't know if Jabbo has any points he wants to make with the Achilles for Rodgers and the injury concerns.
No, Rodgers went into a dark room for 24 hours, so he's good. Honestly, just to go off your point real quick, I mean, I'm not expecting Aaron Rodgers to come and be just this dominant guy. And to be honest with you, even though everyone's talking about Rodgers, the way this offense and team is successful, they run the ball and play defense. Rodgers just needs to make those big plays, those big play action, those third down plays. But I worry about their wide receiver depth, like you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams is the guy, like you said, torn ACL. He's had injury issues. Maybe one of the best one-on-one receivers there is. You know, throw the ball up, he'll go get it. Not a guy who just gets open easily, every time. So if he can stay healthy, Alan Lazard is on the team. He doesn't do anything for me. He's kind of inconsistent. He's shown it with Rodgers, but no tight end really, to be honest, unless I'm missing something really. Tyler Conklin, is that the starting tight end?
You're not a Conklin guy? You don't like Conklin?
He's okay. It's nothing special. Rodgers could turn him into something.
Okay.
But for the most part, I do think they're thin at receiver, but I am all aboard the Breece Hall train. I mean, I think he's going to have an unbelievable year. He had almost 1,500 yards last year total with terrible quarterbacks, and I mean terrible. I think he's going to have a huge year. So I think it's a running defense type team if they want to succeed.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the weapons. I forgot to put. Did you want to talk about this graphic here,
Yes.
Bob Reaver?
So I just want to give some credence to the people who are down on Aaron Rodgers going into this season. I think there are some definitely some legitimate concerns. I mean, in Rodgers last year in Green Bay, his play did take a step backwards. I mean, he was 16th in yards above replacement, 21st in DVOA. It's impossible to say, is this the start of his decline, or is that just him not having Devontae Adams? I mean, look at that fall off in DVOA. I mean, year before, 1st in DVOA, 2nd in DYAR, compared to 16th and 21st. But when I was going on Matt Harmon's reception perception right before this, I was looking at Christian Watson, Dobbs, Lazard in 2022 and looking at their success rates against man zone and press coverage. The guys just simply weren't winning their routes. I mean, if you remember that year, kind of like the storyline was that Rodgers just wasn't connecting with these guys. And based off the numbers, they just weren't really doing well. Garrett Wilson last year, with the dog shit quarterbacks he had the 3rd best success rate against man coverage in all of football. I mean, I just see Rodgers at the very least getting back in the right direction. And let's not forget the 3 years prior. I mean, neither 10% nor 20% DVOA was a huge ask from Rodgers. I mean, he was blown by those numbers. Anything close to that level play in 2023. And the New York Jets are 3rd in total DVOA behind the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, they're blowing by that total. Kyle, if you go to the next table and you want to look at 40-year-old quarterbacks, it's table 2. I'll just wait.
40-year-old quarterbacks. I have it. Yep.
Yeah. So everybody's concerned about the age here, obviously, for Rodgers. 41-year-old quarterbacks is where the cliff seems to happen. Let's look at age 40 quarterbacks here. Tom Brady, 1st in DYAR, 2nd in DVOA, went off that season. Drew Brees, 3rd in DYAR, 1st in DVOA. Brett Favre, 5th DYAR, 4th in DVOA. So guys at age 40, it seems pretty impossible in such a physical, rugged sport, but these guys are continuing to produce at a high level. And now the sport, compared to those years, which are 5+, I mean, Brett Favre, that's over 10 years ago. This is a much less physical sport than it is now. The game caters much more to these players. And if you go to table number 3, Kyle, this is even more important to our case individually with the injury for Rodgers. This is looking at older players with injuries. So we got Peyton Manning, age 36, major neck injury. He came back completely fine. Second DYAR, second DVOA. Tom Brady, 32, ACL. Let's not use that example. I think the best one is probably Warren Moon. Age 41, broke his collarbone, was able to be 7th in DYAR, 8th in DVOA that next season. So there is examples of guys coming back from these injuries and still producing at a high level. I think if there is a guy who could fit that mold, if there is a situation where a guy could come back and produce at this level, it is Rodgers. He has the defense. This is the situation for it to happen. So, yeah, I really am in on this Jets offense. Sorry for rambling, guys.
No, I mean he's a that's why I wanted him to come on, because he's a Jets fan and he's always pessimistic. This is the first time I've ever seen him excited about the Jets. Jabo, anything you want to add before we move on to the defense?
Yeah, only on the sauce will you get 40-year-old quarterback charts, as well as talk about Warren Moon when it's time for the Jets. But no, I agree with them. And you said Peyton Manning. It almost has a little feel of Peyton Manning when he won the Super Bowl, right? They won with defense. They won with running the ball, and Peyton Manning did enough. I thought he was pretty bad that year, to be honest with you, but he did enough to win a World Series. See, I'm talking baseball every day. To win a Super Bowl. So I mean, it kind of reminds me of that. I think Rodgers has a little more left in the tank than Peyton Manning, but I mean, it's kind of similar to me. But other than that, no offense. It's the Breece Hall show, and they need some help with Garrett Wilson, and they'll be just fine.
Cool. All right, well, I'll switch it over to the defense. And Jabo, is there any particular area you want to start? And I'll get the appropriate graphic on the screen.
The front seven. My goodness, are they good?
All right, I'll get some.
Dude,
I'll get
ridiculous.
All right, so I'm getting some front seven graphics up on the screen, and I mean they're going to be very positive. And it sounds like, Steve, that you think they're going to be very positive again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think I saw they had the fourth highest quarterback pressure rate last year in the NFL, or top 3 or something like that. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Quinnen Williams, they added Hassan Reddick, Javon Kinlaw. What I love about the defensive line in the front seven is how deep they are this year. Solomon Thomas, they're just guys up and down. And then, of course, you still got, Quinnen Williams' brother. You got C.J. Mosley, linebacker. The whole front seven is unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to agree. I don't think many people disagree about this front seven.
No, it's hard to poke holes in the Jets defense. I mean, I have their defensive line against the run numbers up. They're actually not crazy, but 14th in run defense grade, 9th in adjusted line yards. But everything else with this, I mean, first in the NFL in yards per attempt allowed in man coverage, second in passer rating allowed in man coverage. I mean, everything looks really good. Fourth in pressure rate, fourth in adjusted sack rate without blitzing. Fourth in pressure rate, fourth in adjusted sack rate, blitzing just 16.3% of the time.
The key.
That is the key right there. Here's their pass rush numbers. Again, 6th in pass rush grade, 4th in adjusted sack rate without blitzing. And you can be really effective on the defensive side if you do that. Prop Beaver, anything and what can we expect on the defensive side other than they're going to be a lead again?
See, that's the thing. I mean, I'm a guy who, when I look at defenses, and I want to give credit to Aaron Schatz and kind of the FTN Almanac for kind of making me think this way, kind of reading it the past 2 or 3 years now. I kind of look for defenses to kind of positively regress and negatively regress on a year-to-year basis. That's what I learned from reading it last year, and that helped me kind of preemptively look at the Cleveland Browns as a defense that could be really good last year. It's kind of like a plexiglass type thing where you see these defenses based on whether it's injury luck or personnel turnover or just maintaining an elite level of defense in the NFL is a really, really hard thing to do. Much harder than it is to do in comparison to offenses. So when it comes to the Jets defense, one could be it could be a hard thing to do for the Jets to keep this defensive consistency together. But the thing is, I think the Jets are very capable of doing it. I mean, for one thing, they've already done it. They finished top 6 in defensive DVOA back-to-back seasons, so they've already proven they could do it. On top of that, they have stars at every level, like Jabo was just saying. I mean, they have 7 former first-round picks on the defensive front.
It's crazy.
Not many teams could say they have an all-pro in every single level of the defense. I mean, all-pro lineman, all-pro linebacker, all-pro corner. In terms of positive regression spots, I mean, the Jets only recovered 8 of 24 fumbles on the defense. They led the NFL with 150 penalties. That's 0.8 more penalties per game than any other team. Jeez. So they still left more meat on the bone. And then this is something I just thought was stupid. Michael Carter Jr., that's our nickel corner. He led the NFL in all qualifying cornerbacks in yards allowed per pass. I mean, amongst nickel corners.
Wow.
Like, nickel corners like good.
That's
like,
wild.
God damn it, man.
I was going to ask you that. I was like, what do you I was going to ask you what you think about the nickel corner. I didn't know he was that good last year. That's impressive.
It's just stupid, man. It's stupid. And now we're getting Chuck Clark back. He was supposed to be our starter last year. He didn't even play last year because he tore his ACL before the season started. I've gone into every Jets season pessimistic. It can't happen. We're going to lose. Like everything wrong will happen. It will go wrong. And I felt that last season going in, but you know what the hype was? It was all hype last season. It was all good hype. You know what the hype is this season? Oh, Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, they're fighting on the sideline. How could a 40-year-old who tore his Achilles possibly win a Super Bowl? Watch him do it. Go Jets, baby.
Also, I feel like it's a perfect. I mean, this is like because he's such a add-on piece where we didn't even mention him. Reddick, tell me that's not a perfect spot for him to bounce back and I mean,
well, he's holding out right now. Obviously, I would hope he signs eventually. I mean, Chris Jones held out for like a few games, and he still performed at a high level most of the season, but he can miss a few games.
All right, so let's go ahead and get the Jet schedule. Let's play some win-loss games, and we'll see if we're going over or under. Sounds like Prop Beaver's going over, though.
I'm going over, and I'll be taking them to win the division as well.
Well, let's go. Let's bring it up on the screen first. Okay. So Jets schedule, here it is. Let me make it smaller.
And he mentioned earlier those over odds are actually the minus 150. Those are switched.
Yeah.
Oh, so I did them backwards. Yeah, I'm setting it up pretty.
I explained the entire situation. Okay. You don't got to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the over 9.5 is minus 150. The under is plus 125. So at San Francisco, is that a loss?
Yes.
At Tennessee's a win. And we were just talking about this last night. Pretty much, once you get past San Francisco, the Jets are in cruise control for a while. From week 2 down to even after their bye week to Seattle. Week 2, can you see my mouse? No. All right, so from week 2 to week 13, there's a lot of wins in there. 1, 2, 3. Maybe they probably drop one of the New England games just because they always do. Yeah. Maybe they get beat in Pittsburgh. I don't even know, though, about that. Maybe, I mean, the Colts could be dangerous. Maybe the Colts come in and beat them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could see us losing to, either to the Colts or Pittsburgh. I mean, or losing to Buffalo or New England, one or one.
I don't think it's crazy.
And then taking 2 of those. I see us losing 3 or 4 during that span.
I don't think it's crazy that the Jets go into Miami in week 14, 9-3. That sounds freaking nuts. But where are the 4 losses? If you're saying, okay, so I'm saying they're going to be 9-3 going into Miami week 14. If you disagree with that, where are the 4 losses? San Francisco, one of the Patriots games, at Pittsburgh, maybe. That's a maybe. I don't know how good the Steelers are going to be. So, let's say yes, they lose.
I think the key thing is that if we look on the road, who we're playing, right? We're playing Tennessee on the road. The offenses we're playing on the road are not good, and our defense at home is insane. These offense, dude, think about it. Philly came into our home last year. We didn't have Sauce Gardner. We didn't have DJ Reed. The offense could do shit. AJ Brown was held renderless.
All right. I don't know. So, let's say 8-4 because they could lose to Houston. But then the final game. So can they win 2 of these finals games? At Miami, at Jacksonville, home against the Rams, at Buffalo, home against Miami. Yeah, it's minus 150, but I don't know how you don't like the over for the Jets, right? Is everyone down for that?
I'm on the over.
All right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not going to bet a future for minus 150.
Yeah,
but I think they win over 9.5. You want to look at the division. It's going to be tough. This division has a tough schedule, by the way. It is brutal. The Jets have a guaranteed loss on December 1st that you're missing also.
Oh. Well, let me get it back up on the screen. A
guaranteed loss.
He's talking about his favorite team. I almost guarantee it. On which day?
December 1st.
Home against Seattle.
To the Seahawks.
That's right. He lives in Washington State.
Yeah, at home to Seattle. I mean, I actually do like the Seahawks quite a bit this year. I like Rubs a lot, but
yeah, they're okay. But no, they have a tough schedule. But over 9.5, I mean, I don't see how they don't go on over. And if you're someone who wants to bet the under wins, do it after they go 4-1. You know what I mean? Because then that line is going to be, because they're going to be 4-1 after 5. I mean, that's
if you want to bet the under on the Jets, I feel like you wait until the gauntlet at the end of the year. Just like wait precisely.
Wait till they're like 8-4, and then take under 9.5 if you think they're gonna. Yeah.
And they're not losing.
Get 10.5.
They're not losing to New England, by the way. They're not. There's
if
no
they
way
if they take both the games against the Patriots, then this is the easiest over ever.
Yeah. And they should. I don't see how they can't. It's
because if they don't, that franchise owns them.
I know, but Belichick, I get it. It does.
If we get swept, I'm calling the cops, bro. If we get swept, I'm calling the cops. If Jalen Polk and co beats our ass twice, I'm calling the cops.
It's gonna happen.
By the way, 3 of the first 5 games, like you were saying, it's against like Will Levis, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, JJ.
That's what I'm saying.
It's garbage. It's garbage.